Here we have a standard off-the-shelf door that I purchased from Home Depot just yesterday. What we're going to do today is we're going to demonstrate how we can take a standard off-the-shelf door and convert it to a door that works for the 3/4 rule for home elevators. Now, one of the most important things when you're selecting the door is that it's a solid core door. It's very important that it's a solid core door, and make sure you never purchase a hollow door. You'll see this would be right now the inside hoistway. The door's going to swing out. Right now we have about a 3-inch jamb. This has to change down to about 3/4 of an inch. So that's our goal here today, is to take away all of this part of the jamb here, and then get this mounted into an entrance, a landing door for our hoistway. All right, let's get started. Okay, we're all unpackaged here. I'm going to just take out the door stop here. And our hinges, I have these hinges ready to go. So this is the part that we're modifying. The door stays the same. We'll take these hinges off, and then we very carefully want to take apart the corners here. We don't want to damage this because this is going to go right back together once we make our modifications. So again, here's where the door is going to strike. Right now we have 3 inches of jamb here behind the door on the hoistway side. We're going to cut that down to approximately 3/4 of an inch. All right, it's a lot easier to take the hinges off, just lay it down just like this, and then we can just pop these hinges out. All right, so now we got the hinges off. We're just going to take this apart here. These will be stapled together here. We just want to be careful that we don't damage it, so I'm just going to try hammering this apart. All right, yeah, I found using a screwdriver helped a lot for getting these staples out. Otherwise, they really have those in there really well. So now this thing should just pop right apart. There we go. All right, so we have the pieces of the frame all separated. Now it's time to cut them down. So we're just using a standard table saw here. So if I measure this right now, this would be the outside on the landing. This is where the door is going, the door stop, and then this is the hoistway side. At this point, we're about 3 1/8 of a gap behind the door to the hoistway side. We need to change that to 3/4 of an inch. I'll start by measuring the 3/4 of an inch from the back of the door stop to right here. There's my 3/4 of an inch, and then it looks like I need to take 2 7/16 off of that. So, and I would err on the side of taking a little extra. You don't want to end up with more than 3/4 of an inch. So you end up with 5/8, that's easy to fix. You end up with more than 3/4, that's not so easy to fix. So we might go more closer to 2 1/2 here, and just come in a little bit more there. Now, I've already set this up to where I want it to be. We're right at between 2 7/16 and 2 1/2 already, so we're going to go ahead and make our cut. And so now we take a look here. We are right just under 3/4 of an inch, so maybe closer to 5/8, but that's ideal. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that there's going to be staples in this door stop. This will go right through them, but you might want to go back through and add some more staples or finishing nails to really hold this in after the fact. There's a good chance that this could fall off pretty easily. All right, let's move on to the next ones. All right, so like I said, we cut right through some of the staples there, so you can see how the door stop's coming apart a little bit. So I'm just going to put a couple tiny staples in here. These are just 1/2 inch long staples, just enough to put this back together. Now we could use some glue and clamps, but this actually looks like it's going to go together pretty easy here. So we're going to hold that together there. Now we're good to go. We're going to move this over into the door frame now. Okay, so I have the frame here in our framing. This is going to be the inside of the hoistway right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this jamb right up against the inside edge of our 2x4. Now, obviously, you have a gap here on the 2x4 that needs to be trimmed out on the front side. So there's several different ways that you can handle that. What I would recommend is that you actually leave enough of a gap for, say, some 1/8 inch luan, which can come straight out and then marry up with your casing. So if you just left that 1/8 inch there and pin your luan in between here, then you get a nice finished face here, and then your casing can come out and come right to the edge there. And that way there's still room for your hinges, there's still room for your strike to come across on the other side. For time's sake right now, I'm just going to pin this right up against the 2x4 here. Okay, we're just going to put these hinges on here real quick. Okay, so now I already mounted the door on the frame here, got the hinges back on, and so if you take a close look over here, you can see you typically have your gap here where your shims are going. If you put a piece of trim material in here, it's very easy then to wrap around here. So using less shim or putting some shim behind your trim material coming out, that gives you that little bit of a step in, so that your strike can close without scraping and get a black mark along your trim. So just that little bit of a recess gives you a nice clean strike on your door, and then you can trim around here. And same over on this side here. If you had done the luan behind, you could even do it after the fact. It'll come in behind the hinge and then wrap around, and you'll have a nice clean look. It is a little different. Like typically your doors would be all the way out, but it's a subtle difference. These doors will look a little bit different than than the rest of the doors in the house. Let's go around to the back side here. Okay, so now on the back side, the hoistway side of the elevator, you can see that we have our nice 3/4 inch stopper here. So there's just between 5/8 and 3/4 of an inch to the end here. I do recommend going maybe a little bit closer to 5/8. Then you can use a nice like 1/8 inch trim on the back here, or you can just mud right up to the edge, whatever you prefer. But you need to keep this very thin. You don't want to go beyond the 3/4. It's very important that you don't add casing in here and come into that space that we just created. So now with this nice stop, we can use the Atlas interlock here, and this will slide right up into place here. You can see how that will fill that space perfectly. This cable will go up into the studs and disappear. This will slide up onto the top there, giving it a good firm mounting. And then there will be a keeper attached to the door to latch the door shut. But this is exactly what you're looking for. This is the exact type of preparation that you want in order to do a 3/4 inch interlock.